Namaste and welcome in the series of cybersecurity. This side is Meena. Today I will discuss about how to attack on a DHCP server. DHCP server plays a very important role in the field of networking when we are getting IP addresses or assigning IP address. Okay, so guys, let's start the today's session. When we are communicating with other devices, whether that's on local area network or on the WAN wide area network, that's internet for example, on that network we need a unique ID. Okay, if just we are communicating only on the local area network, that ID should be unique for the local area network for the LAN. And when we are communicating over the internet, then we should have the unique ID as per the internet. Okay, that can be IPv4 or IPv6. It depends upon which IP addresses we are using. Okay, so unique ID, that's IP address, plays very crucial role, and there are some of the private IP addresses which we need not purchase. Anyone can assign those private address and can use those addresses within the local area network. Okay, and if we need to communicate over the internet or on the public network, then we need the identity, that's public IP address, and for that we need to purchase it. Clear? So for each and every devices which are on the network, we must have the IP address. Okay, either that's our PC, our laptop, our server, our networking device, whether it's a router or if we are having layer 3 switches, or if that's a network security devices, firewall, ASA, or your IDS, IPS, any device which they are communicating with other devices, they need that address. Okay, so the question is that how this IP addresses they will get. Actually there are two methods which we can in the way we can assign the IP addresses. First one, we can assign IP addresses manually. Okay, and other is automatically. If we have small network, then it's manageable, we can assign IP addresses automatically. But if we have the big network, thousand or hundreds of thousands of the pieces we are having in the network, then it's difficult to assign the IP addresses manually and just to maintain the record of all the devices, which device is having which IP address. It's really a very hectic job. Okay, so for that purpose we can use some service so that can take care of the things to assigning the IP addresses to the network devices and make the record of each devices, which one is having which particular IP addresses and for how long they will providing that IP address to the that device. Okay, one very important thing in networking devices, for example say on PC, we can say if we are not assigning IP addresses or manually, or if we don't have any server or services for automatically assigning IP address, automatically the PC can give IP address to itself. Okay, that's APIPA, automatic private IP address range. It's start from 169.254.0.0 to 169.254.255.255. Okay, so any IP addresses they will assign to itself, and those who are in the local area network which are having the IP address from the same range, they can communicate with each other. Okay, for example, we are having IP addresses from DHCP server. Okay, we have a dedicated server for this specific task so that it can maintain the record of all the devices which will ask the IP address, they need IP address. So this DHCP server will reply to them and will assign IP address from the which pool we have defined for the specific part of the network or to the for that particular network. Understand? So DHCP server is playing a very crucial role in the field of networking. Clear? For example, I am having a PC and which is getting IP address from the DHCP server. So I want to first release the IP addresses from that PC, and to release the IP addresses in Windows, the command is, you just need to open the command prompt and over there write that command ipconfig / release. So whatever the IP address we are having on our machine, it will release it. The logic of giving this command is here. I just want to capture the packet which is just passing between the DHCP server and the DHCP client. So when this DHCP we have enabled, for example, get IP addresses from the DHCP. Okay, so it will send a DHCP request to find out where is the who is the DHCP server and give me the IP address. Clear? So first whatever the IP address I am having on my machine, I will release it and I will again send a request to the DHCP server to just give me a IP address from the specified pool which is defined for the DHCP server. Okay, so I just use the command ipconfig / renew. So this command will send a request to the DHCP server and will get the IP address from the DHCP server. Okay, so during this process, whatever the packet exchange between the DHCP server and that client, I will capture all the packet with the help of Wireshark. Clear? And I will show you only the DHCP packet so that we can understand the working of DHCP. So before understanding the mind of attacker, or if being a ethical hacker, if you want to test our network, how strong it is, we should have the solid foundation for understanding the protocol, how these protocols are working. Clear? So I will show you the packets which exchanged during this communication. Clear? So you can see here I have just mention the numbers on the packet, so it will be easy for me to explain and it will be easy for you to understand how these things are working. For example, a client send a request to the DHCP server. So in case of, I am just taking the example of in case of IP version 4 DHCP. Clear? So for IP version 6 it will be a little bit different, but the base is same. So first client will send a discovery message, because at that point client is not having any IP address. Clear? So it will just find out who is having the authority to assign me the IP address. Clear? So here just in a case of packet number 1, you can see here the source address is 00. The first one which I haven't kept the boundary around it, so it was the message from the release command which we gave in previous PPTs. Okay, so here is when I assigned the command ipconfig / renew, so it just generate that packet to discover where is the DHCP server, or on this network who is the DHCP server which will assign me the IP address. Clear? In first one they will send a discovery message. So just you can see here source address is 000 and the destination is address is 255.255.255.255, which is the broadcast address. Means it will send to all of the machine over the network who is the DHCP server. Clear? So, when the DHCP server will get the request from the client, it's a DHCP request I received. So, it will send the reply in the form of the offer, and it will be unicast, because right now the server is having the MAC address of that PC. Okay. So, if previously that server has assigned it the IP address, so it is just also having the record of it. So, if that IP address which was released, if that's still available, so it can offer the same IP address to that client. Clear? So, it will send a unicast message. So, just you can see here in the source the IP address of the DHCP server, which is in this case 192.168.1.1. it is from the class C IP address, and the destination address here is 192.168.1.3. Clear? And in the third packet it will request to the DHCP server, again it will just broadcast. It will request to the DHCP server, please provide me the other details as well, like which IP address of the router, means gateway, what are the subnet mask, DNS IP addresses, or the name server, or other parameters it will ask for the DHCP server. So, it will again broadcast, just you can see here in the destination IP address is again the broadcast address, and once the DHCP server will receive the request from the client, it will just acknowledge again in the unicast. Clear? So, it is just saying, okay, I am just giving you this IP address and these are the details whatever you requested and which I have configured on my server, and this detail it will forward to the client, and lease duration will be there. So, for that duration time that IP address will be hand over to the client. Clear? So, this way the DHCP client and server communicate with each other. Now, DHCP server has a record of the client in the, like, this PC is having that MAC address and I have assigned this IP address to that MAC address. Clear? And for long this, how many days, for example, say lease 4 days, 3 days, whatever the lease duration we have specified at the time of the configuration of the DHCP server. Clear? In this way they are communicating and getting the IP addresses. Okay. So, I will show you a little bit in detail of these packets what exactly inside it. So, in the packet number 1, just you can see here, this was the detail of that packet of the one which was the discovery. Clear? And on the second one, this is for the second. Clear? So, just you can see here the IP address of the client is 192.168.1.3. Clear? And on the third one, it's for the again request that's coming from the client. Okay. And on the fourth one, when server will send the acknowledgement. Okay. So, it will having the IP address of the server, client, router, subnet mask, DNS information, each and everything which is required to the client, and whatever we configured on the DHCP server. So, guys, now question here is that how this things will be attacked by the attacker. After understanding the sequence, this sequence, exchanging the packet. So, what DHCP server is observing at this point? DHCP server is observing a request I am getting from the client DHCP kind of packet, and it should be have a unique MAC address. So, just is checking the MAC address and the DHCP kind of packets are received. So, if the attacker will send a bombardment of IP address, MAC address, unique MAC address with the DHCP kind of packets to the DHCP server, and DHCP server will think yes, it is just a normal DHCP client's request. So, it will just send the IP address for the one MAC address. So, for example, in the previous example we used class C IP address. So, in class C IP address we are having the IP address, for example, 254 valid IP addresses. Okay. So, if the attacker in the same network that send huge number of requests, so the DHCP server which is having the pool of the IP addresses, it will assign to the attacker. Okay. And when the legitimate user will request for the IP address, so it will not get that request reply, and it will be cut off from the network. Clear? And after not having the IP address, it will just for example say sending the request again to the DHCP server, because first time when the client will whatever the information it's just forwarding to the server, it's just in broadcast format. So, attacker will also receive a copy of the data from the client when it's just sending it the broadcast request. So, attacker just come to know what is the MAC address of the legitimate user, and later attacker can use for themselves or for creating another kind of attacks. Clear? So, I will show you example of how the attackers are doing this one with which software. There are many software. I will show you one of them. Okay. So, it is DHCPig, that is in Kali Linux, and for example Ethernet 0 is getting IP addresses via DHCP. So, using that Ethernet 0, a command was released, and that command will send continuously DHCP request to the server to get the IP address. For each request it will use it will generate a unique MAC address, and the DHCP server will assign IP address to the unique MAC address, and all the available IP addresses to the on the DHCP server will be assigned to the attacker machine. Now, when the legitimate user will request for the IP address is not getting, so out of the network, they will not able to communicate to the other devices. Clear? And what else attackers can do with the DHCP server? This is just like starvation to the DHCP server, but if they just also create its own DHCP server, then and when the DHCP request received by the client, so they quickly respond to the client, and the legitimate DHCP server will not be able to reply it, because once the client will get the IP address, again it will not, until the lease will not be expired, it will not send a request to the server. Okay. So, as we saw, DHCP server will maintain a table of like which IP address I have assigned to the particular MAC address, and attacker definitely can use it and can just even make a set of whatever the traffic the client will send, all this will pass through it. So, that is man in middle attack they can generate, and can also generate another type of attack. Okay. So, guys, this is the way attacker can attack on the DHCP server. Okay. There are multiple tools which they can use to perform such kind of attack. Okay, I hope that was informative and you understood it. And on the 4th of December, I am just going to launch ethical hacking masterclass, and it will be really wonderful, and I'm too excited to have you guys in my class, and seats are limited. So guys, just you can have a look on the ethical hacking masterclass on the URL luminisindia.com go ehm. Okay, you can follow me on the page of Cybersecurity Prism, so that you will get notification for the next live session. You can also join group on the Cybersecurity Forever, where just you can have discussion with the other buddies. And on the next session, I will discuss about how do hackers attack on cloud, because we are having lot of information on cloud, and number of companies are using cloud services for their different purpose. Clear? And attacker can also attack on this one. So stay safe. See you in the next session. Namaste.